Well, good morning, welcome back. Now, statistically, the average age of a motorcycle on the road today is under 5 years. And apparently, they're changing hands every 18 months. And this means there's an ever-growing crop of good quality second-hand bikes to choose from. And even more so, the older they get. But they come with their problems, and much of it related to time and wear and tear. And nowhere better is that demonstrated than in the hydraulic systems. That's the brake calipers, the master cylinders and slave cylinders on the bike. Now, after 20 plus years or more, all the internal parts inside your hydraulic systems start to degrade and deteriorate. But thankfully, all those parts are still available and for not much money. And so it's no different with this project. I'm working my way through all the hydraulic units one by one, completely rebuilding them. I've done the clutch slave cylinder, so today it's the turn of the clutch master cylinder. Let's go. Now, working with hydraulics is always a mess, and here's the first chance for one. This top hose, the banjo's got to come off, and if you just take it off right now, because you only want that unit, then it's going to empty its contents all over your bike, which will be a mess. So the easiest way is to just crack the bleed valve at the bottom, put a tube on it, and pump the system out, so there's nothing in the reservoir, or take the cap off and suck it out. But just a cautionary word, if you've never done it before you just crack that banjo and take the hose off, be careful because it's full of fluid. Right, while I'm at this point, these two screws that hold the cap on, they don't need to be tight, but invariably they are, and they're very easy to mince out. So I find that when you put your screwdriver in, a that'll do fit isn't enough. You want that screwdriver to be as snug as possible in that screw before you lean on it. And I find that rather than a screwdriver that you've had for ages and has done a load of screws, I like to reach for a brand new screwdriver bit that's never been used. Tap it in nice and snug, and you'll crack them open first time, every time, without chewing them out. Right, there we are. We're at that classic halfway stage in any refurbishment. Get everything stripped down and laid out. Then we've got to replace all the consumable parts, clean and wash all the serviceable parts, then lay everything out on a nice clean cloth, ready to reassemble. Okay, with everything washed, these parts are to be replaced. The mainspring, the inner seal, the piston with the outer seal attached, the washer, the circlip, and the weather boot that keeps all the rubbish out. All of that lot goes in the bin and is replaced with the contents of this kit. Right, before we get started assembling any of that, this is a span adjustable lever, but it's completely seized solid. It's not moving at all. So before we go anywhere else, to give it time to penetrate, I'm going to pop some Aerocroil on it, let it soak in, and see if we can get that moving nice and mobile by the time it's all assembled. Right, first job is to assemble your new seal onto your new piston, and for confirmation of which way round it goes, take a look at the old one with the skirt facing that way. Very carefully with a blunt seal pick, definitely blunt, getting underneath, hook it up, just lift it over and slide it over the top of that lip into its new place. There it is. Job done. Now, very gently in the vise. It is a fragile casting, so no more squeezing force than you can apply with your hands. That's all it takes. If it still wiggles about like that, that's fine. Right, now, with the main seal, underneath, it's got a tiny little peg that fits into the hole on top of the spring, and that will pop in there with a little bit of a snap that you can just feel. Then once it's on, gently grease that seal up because it's going to have to slide down inside the cylinder. Okay, spring goes in with the wide end downwards. Now, when you push them in, they will pop into place, but just to be sure that the seals haven't flipped backwards on themselves, just give them a plunge in and out a few times and they will self-level and flop into their correct position, provided you've lubricated them properly, and that is the reason we do that. We use the supplied grease in order to get the seals to slip nicely into their natural position, and they have done. The next thing, retaining washer, and then circlip. Oh, there we are, clutch master cylinder, fully rebuilt, fresh internals. I'm not going to put any fluid in it yet because I've already said in a previous video that I may wait until the end of the project to see if there's any budget left to afford a full set of braided hoses, which would be very nice, but I want to make sure I pay for all the important stuff first. Now, I'd also like to end this video on an ecological note and just briefly talk about the green credentials of doing up an old motorcycle. So question, is it greener to keep an old motorcycle on the road, keep repairing it, keep looking after it and servicing it and taking care of its needs? It's done 40,000 miles. It will at least do that again without missing a beat. Or do we keep buying new ones every 18 months? Probably selling them with a few thousand miles on, thinking their time's up. What's the greener way forward? Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you next time.